Hi guys, Sylvia again. What we are going through today, I'm going to be planting down my tomato plants, my starts that I did from seeds this year. What I wanted to go through with y'all is what I put into the soil when I plant down my tomato plants and my pepper plants, because it's kind of the same thing for both. What we're going to go through is different fertilizers. So with tomato plants, actually, let me go get one. All right, so tomato plant. This here is a currant tomato, also called a spoon tomato. They're like really tiny, super sweet. But when we're planting down our tomato plants, you can see this one from bottom of the pot to the top is probably about 10 inches. What we will do, we will break off these bottom limbs, probably up to about this one here. So we'll leave the top portion there with the leaves on it. The bottoms will pick off. Okay, and we're going to dig a hole about 10 inches deep. All right, because you want to plant tomatoes deep. They'll develop roots along the stem and branch out. And a strong root system is going to give you more fruit and better bushes. And it's going to be able to withstand wind a little better, even though we do trellis our tomatoes. So once we dig our hole and we've prepped our tomato plant, like I said, we have taken off the bottom stems. In the bottom of that hole, I'm going to put an egg. Egg is for calcium and nutrients for the plant. Some people crack them when they put them in. I do. Some people don't. But what I do, I'll dig the hole, I'll throw that in there, and I'll take my trowel and I'll just crack the egg, put a little bit of dirt on it, mix it around. On top of that, I'm going to put a Tums. I do a lot of this because I had a problem with blossom end rot my first year I was doing tomatoes at this property, because we never had our soil tested. But this seems to work for me. Like I said, you can have your soil tested, see what you need, you know, but this is what we do. So we've got the eggs, we've got the Tums. Once we get those in there, of course, you know the Tums is water soluble. It's going to break apart. So in that, I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons or so of bone meal. So the bone meal is going to be for the actual fruit portion, providing calcium and everything to it, and nitrogen. Now this one is 1.75% water soluble, which means it's going to be readily available for your plant. And then it's got 5.25 water insoluble, which means it's going to be like a slow release throughout the season. This is actually for the fruiting portion. This one I will put in there is blood meal. Now blood meal is better for heavy feeders, spinach, broccoli, and anything that has a lot of greens, because you still want a good healthy plant as far as the greens. That way you produce the best fruit. This one is 12% nitrogen, 3% of it is water soluble, and 9% is insoluble, which means it's going to be like a slow release fertilizer. Now, if any of that bothers you, especially like the raw egg, like I said, some people say not do the egg because they have a problem with, you know, they think animals are going to dig them up. I've never had that problem, but I mean, it's always a possibility. So in that case, what we also do here, when we boil up a large batch of eggs, like if we're freeze drying eggs, we're freeze drying like 90 to 100 eggs at a time because we have a large Harvest Right freeze dryer. So what we do, we keep all the eggshells, and then I put them in a 350 oven for like 20-30 minutes, just so they're nice and dry and brittle. And then what I do is I run them through my food processor. You can see those. It's just eggshell. You can sprinkle that in the bottom. This can also be sprinkled on the top. I've read that it helps deter slugs. I've never had a slug problem either. But that's supposed to help too. If you want to steer away from that, and what I will do in a couple of weeks, like if I start seeing some of the production of the leaves and the growth start slowing down, fish fertilizer. This is a 511. What I do with this one is 2 tablespoons of fish fertilizer per gallon of water. And I'll just put it in my little watering can, fill it up, and then I'll go by, you know, like every other week and just water my tomatoes. Not like super deep, but just so they get enough. The problem I find with the fish fertilizer is I have barn cats, and they will start sniffing around your plants. I have one that likes to chew on the leaves of stuff when I put the fish fertilizer on there. So I don't use it as much. I'm trying to stay a little bit more organic this year. So we're not using, you know, the blue fertilizer that everyone knows. We're not going to use that. We haven't used it in, I believe, like 3 years on the property and the raised beds. And it's just a personal preference. I mean, if you use it, you know, I hope it works very well for you. For me and my family, we're trying to steer away from chemicals, processes, stuff like that. That way to keep stuff a little bit more organic. Now, I cannot be classed as an organic farm because you have to go through all these testing, all these certifications to be classed as organic. So for me and our family, we keep it as organic as possible, just for a little bit of health consciousness. And there's a few things we do around here that we do for that reason. Okay? Besides that, let's go start some tomato plants. Alright guys, well this is where we're going to do our first one. Okay, got my trusty knee pads. We decided to put down mulch in the aisles. And it's kind of hell on the knees. So, we weeded these and did a compost topper this year already. But you can see there's weeds growing through. It's my rooster. So what I'm going to do, I have a little hand stirrup hoe here. Just going to go through that, get all those weeds out. Okay. Like I said, this is going to be the tomato plant we're going to plant down. It's a... Thank you, Dwayne. So it's a beefsteak tomato, so it's going to grow the large tomatoes. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go through and we're going to pinch off these bottoms. Thank you, Dwayne. And we're going to pinch off the bottoms. You can root some of those. This time of the year I'm not going to do that. Once they get bigger, I'll root some of the suckers. They are singing us the song of their people. So you can see we've probably got about 8 or 10 inches here. So trowel, and then we have a leftover, I say leftover, we have a trellis here that we plan on running the tomatoes up, and then yes, Dwayne, thank you. They think they're getting treats. So we're going to dig a hole down. Okay. So I can get the dirt to stay out of the hole. All my background noise. Break up that bottom. Because these beds are only about 12 inches deep. So we'll break it up. In the bottom, we're going to put the egg. Just going to drop that right in the bottom. Take my trowel, crack it, a little bit of dirt on top of it. Two Tums in there. Again, that's for calcium to prevent blossom end rot. This here is a little Chinese soup spoon. It's kind of what we call them. So this is a blood meal. like I said, about 3 spoons of that. And then the bone meal. Definitely trying to prevent the blossom end rot again, because it ruined my entire year a couple of years ago when we first moved to the property. So now we've got everything in there. That's gonna be down by the roots. We've already took off the lower limbs. Gonna put that down and then backfill it. Make sure to tamp it down. Didn't put it quite as deep as I would have liked, but that's okay. You can also plant them sideways. If you lay the tomato plant on its side, it will naturally start to curve up. And you can plant it that way too if you can't get it deep enough. So, and after we get them all done, then we will water them in really good. Right? And then we've got 7 more on this row that we're going to do. Hey there, YouTube. So I realized when I was editing the video today that I never did a sign off for it. So the rooster's still going. Dwayne loves me. So here we are. It's approximately 6 days later, and we have all of our tomatoes planted down in this bed, and I have also planted some more around the garden in the same manner that you saw. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you have any tips and tricks or anything that you found out over the years, please comment below, because I am always up for learning with gardening, because I know how far I've come in 10 years, and I hope to be even further in the next 10 years. And the only way to do that is by listening to people, their trials, their triumphs, and everything, to know better how to do your gardening. In my opinion, you never stop learning, and I always say make sure you fail forward. To me, failing forward is getting started. It's, if you do fail at something, you learn from it, and then you can take that knowledge forward with you. Like, don't get a rooster. He's noisy. But that's the way I've always been. I've been gardening for about 10 years now. So this is just stuff that I've learned, I've read, that I feel help. Like I said, if you have any tips or tricks, please comment below. I'd love to read them and glean a little bit of knowledge off of all you great gardeners. So with that, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time watching our channel, and I hope you enjoy watching this grow. So like I said in the others, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to get started, and if you fail, make sure to fail forward. Until next time.